Hey YouTubers, welcome back to Desert Have a Garden. Today I am at home in our low desert garden and I just wanted to do a quick spring update. So there's a lot going on in the garden right now in the beginning of April, so I'll take you around to take a peek. So right here up front we have our beets, and last I checked I didn't see any substantial root development, and they're still looking that way. They're kind of like narrow roots still, but there's a lot of green foliage, and I've actually used a bunch of these already in some soups, so they're really good. You can use them like you would oriental greens. And then just over here I have some beans starting to pop up here, and these are actually what are they? These I think are my wax beans, so they're like green beans but they're yellow. And then over here I have sugar snap peas, and you see a few that are ready for harvest here, and these have been really sweet and tasty already this year. And then just behind it I have the regular shelling pea plants, and these ones have the really pretty like purple and pink flowers, and so there's a bunch of pods on here. Let's see, this one's starting to get pretty thick with the peas, so those will be nice to harvest here shortly. And then just over here I have what's left of some spinach, and I've been harvesting this spinach throughout the winter and it's been really delicious, but we were gone for the weekend, and as soon as I walked out into my garden, a little bunny rabbit went bouncing by, and you can see that that bunny rabbit has been having quite the feast here in my spinach. And then just over here I have what's left of my radishes, and so I harvested most of them, but I wanted to get some seeds for next year, so I was hoping these would go to seed, but they're actually not looking that great. I'm thinking I may need to increase my water, because now today it's 91 degrees, it's getting hot. And then back here I have planted a dragon egg cucumber plant, and then over here is just a pickling cucumber. Left over from last year I have all kinds of bell peppers. So I have those albino bullnose peppers, and these, I'm not sure what these are. I think these are the Aluku sarga, and so there's some that are ripening. So these plants don't look all that amazing, but they overwintered here, and so they are getting some new growth that looks really nice and healthy, but they were definitely struggling when it got super cold over the winter. But because they were still alive, I figured I'd just let them and see what they would do. Over here I have some broccoli plants, and this one, oh, actually that's a cauliflower. Can you see that in there? It didn't form a really nice head. These ones got a late start, so it's probably a little too hot for them now. But over here, this one is looking really nice, and I thought this was a Romanesco broccoli, but it's really not looking like a Romanesco, so I'm not sure if that's the Umpqua. I had a lot of seeds die that I had planted, and so I stopped labeling them, and then now I just don't really know what I have everywhere. But again, this is a leftover from last year. This is an eggplant, and it's a Casper eggplant, and it has never produced any fruit before. And again, it overwintered, but it has lots of flowers and then these little spiky fruits starting to form. And these eggplant are supposed to make a white eggplant, and they're supposed to taste like mushrooms. So I was really hoping to get some, and maybe we have a chance yet. But they are spiky, and then the leaves are also spiky, the undersides of them. This is a pepper plant that overwintered, and this one is my peach pepper, and it's actually a spicy hot pepper. Let's see, I think there's a pepper on the back side of it over here. There's one right there. So these are super spicy, but they smell like peaches, and they're actually sweet at the same time, so it's kind of hard to explain. And then there's a second plant there. And again, you see lots of new green pretty growth and lots of flowers. And then the old growth was really struggling. Here's a second one of the eggplants, more flowers and fruit producing. But these spikes are just, they're crazy. What garden pest would want to mess with that, right? So I'm not seeing any developed fruit on here, but I remain optimistic. Then what else do we have over here? I have more of the peppers, and those are just like little tiny peppers, the little albino bullnose. They don't make a very large pepper. And this one, I think, is the chocolate bell pepper plant. I just planted this year a couple of tomato plants, and those are getting started really nicely. These are atomic grapes, so they make tomatoes that are like little cherry tomatoes, and they are different shades of like purple and blue and red all in one tomato with some yellow in there. They're really beautiful, so I'm looking forward to get some of those. Do have to get my bunny under control though. And the rosemary bush is out of control. Come by that. And then I have my carrots that should be about ready for harvest now. These are all cosmic purple variety. And let's see if I can grab one. There's one there. And they have a really nice flavor. So while they're purplish red on the outside, they're actually orange on the inside. But they are really tasty. So I've got some of those to harvest. Continuing around, this is our first garden bed we started at our house. And this is where I keep our perennial artichokes. Right here. And you see a couple of artichokes forming. And it will start other artichokes that won't get as big off on the secondary leaves, which is cool. And as you see me pushing it out of the way, this is a volunteer tomatillo plant, and it's quite substantial. And it's an Amarillo tomatillo, so it's a yellow variety. These leaves are velvety soft. They're really nice to touch. And it has put on a bunch of flowers and fruit. Let's see if I can find one. I have harvested some of the fruit already, and they're very sweet, which is kind of unusual. A little bit tart, but more sweet than tart. And I was eating them right off of the bush. I didn't even put them into any sort of sauce or anything. Let's see. Right there is one, but without another hand I can't get to it right now. But once the skin starts splitting open, that's when you can harvest those. And then right here, more artichokes. So these kind of die off in the winter, and then they just come right back in the spring every year with new artichokes. This plant has been plagued with white flies, and I've been treating it. I think I've done 4 weekly treatments of neem oil sprayed on it, and they seem to be pretty well under control. It was for a while that I couldn't come over here without just being attacked by these white flies everywhere. So that's looking much better. Just getting started. I have some pumpkin plants, and I'm hoping those will have time to mature before it gets too super hot. And then out here in my full sun, I have the grapevine. And again, the white flies love the grapevine. It looks like I need to treat this plant again because I still see them buzzing around. And you can see the damage that the white flies do to the leaves. You see how it's kind of like mottled in color and they curl up like this. So the white flies definitely do damage. But you can see that the grapevine has already put on its bunches, that these will all flower. Each little tiny one will flower, and then that's the grapes. Left over here, I have more spinach. I'm seeing that the bunny rabbit was over here as well. And then in the background, I have kohlrabi. And kohlrabi was a big hit last year. We really enjoyed it. So I planted a bunch over here, and I see that I can probably start harvesting those. Thought I heard that bunny again. And so, what is it? Maybe it's a lizard. Did you hear that run by? Up here in front are more radishes. You can see how big these are getting. And it looks like it is about to go to seed. So I'll be able to harvest some of the seeds from these. I have a couple of them getting ready to go to seed. and will also enjoy those little radishes. Next, I have some lettuces that you can see are wilting in the heat, and actually the lettuces, once it gets over, I'd say 80 degrees here, the lettuce turns bitter immediately, and it almost renders it inedible. I really don't enjoy it once it gets hot, so I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with these guys yet. But that is my early spring update. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up and stay tuned for more updates in the future.